Welcome back to another episode of Next Level Minds. Today we're going to be sitting down with Zack Krupp, who, if you didn't know, was on this podcast before talking about massive action plans and various adversities that he has faced. If you haven't listened to that episode with him, it's a fantastic episode, so I would highly recommend it. But today we're going to be talking a lot about personal development topics. Zack's going to really bring you in and do a deep dive of a vision board and why it's important. Not only a vision board, but he's going to talk about a vision wall. And he's going to really map out that for you. He's also going to talk about maintaining a proper opportunistic positive state and really just choosing the words you use effectively to keep that state. So Zack, again, is going to bring the heat today, and I'm excited to what he's going to bring on the Next Level Minds podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Man, thanks for agreeing to be on the show again.
Yeah, bro. We just wrapped up. I know it's only been 10 minutes, but we had some more stuff to say. I talk a lot, so hopefully we can make it a shorter little segment and bring some more fire, man.
100%. Dude, I'm honestly super amped about this. So I know last time you kind of touched on the concept of words can generally just have a massive physical effect on your body,
right,
as well as the concept of just visualizing everything. So I'm really pumped on what you can speak on that today.
Okay, cool. So I actually get super psyched about this. So if I get super excited in your show, I apologize to the users if you think I'm overly enthusiastic. But the first thing is, I've shown you before. I know you've seen my whole vision wall idea, right?
You sent it to me on Facebook, seen it in person,
everything.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
So that's the first thing that I want to touch on, because we talked about the power of visualization and how impactful that can be. So
yeah,
I think everyone's heard about you need a vision board, get a vision board, cut out some stuff out of a magazine, take the pictures of all the dreams and things that you want and put them on a board and look at them. Mm-hmm. I think we've all heard about that. Most people have. And I've done that. I've seen a lot of successful people do that. In the last episode, we talked about success habits. And so I'm like, okay, vision board, it's a good idea, but my bulletin board or whatever is kind of small. I have big dreams, dude. I got huge dreams. So I'm going to make a vision wall. So what I did in my apartment is I printed out all the pictures of all the things that I want to achieve in the next 5 years, all the people I want to meet. You know, I want to get my main goal is billionaire by 40. I want to get the Tesla Model X. I want to travel to different destinations. And I cut out a collage and I filled up an entire wall with all these different images. And doing it was the best decision I've ever made. Because when I did it, I knew that other people have said 5 years after they made the wall, all the things came true. So that's why I did it. I'm all right, they say this works. I want to do this. But the coolest thing was it taught me 3 major points instantly. I learned all these things. So the first thing, why your listeners need to create a vision wall, a collection basically of all the things that they hope to achieve in the next year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, all their life goals. The reason they should do this is for a few reasons. And the first is this. When you come up with all these ideas, all these goals, they're conscious thoughts. We talked a bit about the conscious and subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is the coolest thing I've ever learned about ever. This is the master of your brain. This is the master of your life. All the decisions you make come from your subconscious mind. So when we think about things we want on a daily basis and we're not focusing them all the time, if you're dude, one day I want to have my own plane. That idea might pop up in your conscious mind one every 2 weeks, once every month, and you're never going to take any action and achieve on it. So we're making the vision wall so you can put it on the forefront of your mind and see it every single day. Well, what I learned is that when you take that conscious idea and you put it there and you focus on it every single day through repetition, on doing this daily, seeing it when I walk by to get a drink, when I walk by to do laundry, bathroom, go to work, I pass that wall every day. What eventually happened is that those conscious ideas over repetition turned into subconscious ideas, and they got planted in my subconscious mind. So the power of switching conscious to subconscious is now I still think about them, but I don't need to. Because when you dream, you ever notice If you've watched a scary movie before you go to bed, or you're scrolling on Facebook and you're looking at one of your friends, you go to sleep and you dream about that scary thing, you have a bad dream, or you dream about that friend who you saw on Facebook before you fell asleep, who you haven't seen in 10 years, that's because ideas got planted in your subconscious mind. So what we're doing is we're planting the Tesla, we're planting, Bora Bora, planting all these achievements that I want to do into my subconscious. So I dream about them. So I think about them when I'm at work doing something else. They're just popping up in my mind all the time. And when ideas go from conscious to subconscious, they're a lot more likely to happen, because a lot of the things I put on my wall happen within days, weeks, and months. And I have a comparison. I might get into those, but I got to make sure we hit on the key points first. So that's number one. Make a vision wall. You're going to shift your conscious dreams and ideas to your subconscious mind. When you do that, they're more likely to happen and your mind goes to work. The second reason why you need to make a vision wall is because what I did is I took all what I thought were my life dreams. Like, what are the biggest things I want? Cut them all out, put them all up there. Within a week, my mind started realizing like how I can, do these certain ideas and stuff like that. And what I realized is I dreamed way too small. I realized, aside from billionaire, which is a massive goal, everything else I put on that wall, it would be a unlikely situation. It would be something that could be harder to obtain, but it was all possible to achieve in 1 year. So I realized I sold myself short, and that the ideas I had that I thought were massive, since I took them from my head and put them in front of me, they were all too small. And so the reason you should make a vision wall is because as soon as you do, within 2 weeks, what you think are your biggest dreams are going to get 10 times bigger, because you realize you weren't dreaming big enough. When you make a vision wall, your dreams expand massively. Now I've gone from what I thought were my biggest to crazy ideas like owner of the Chicago Bulls or world tour to all the best Christmas destinations in the world, right? Things I like. So that's number 2, dream bigger. And the final one is uncover solutions. So you make a vision wall, you focus on these things every single day. When you do so, your mind goes to work. And that kind of ties in with the subconscious a little bit, because sometimes it happens when you sleep. But when I made, when people say you make visualizations and you say affirmations, you can't, some people talk about law of attraction. We won't get into that too much, but you can't just magically make it come to you, right? If I put a Tesla on my board, I can't just magically get it. So I have to figure out how I can do it. So putting the things up on my vision wall allowed me to allowed my mind to uncover solutions and actions that I could take that would make these things a realistic possibility. So after doing it, I started seeing pathways. Like, if I want a Tesla, I can go to amaze.com and donate $10 and be entered to win a Tesla Model X with $20K in cash. So there's actually a contest that ends today for a Lamborghini Aventador. And so if that ages well and I win that, the next time I come back, that would be pretty cool. But I'm constantly planting that seed, right? That's one way to get my dream car, is enter those contests. So doing so allows to give you ideas to solve those. So that's why I'm huge on vision wall. And I won't get too much in what it's done for me, because I could talk about it forever. But a lot of the things I've done have already come true.
What would you say the first? It's honestly for me too, because I've hit you up about trying to start one. What's the first step of creating the vision wall, right?
So figure out what you want. What are your goals? Maybe start with you can break it down a little bit. What are my goals, my biggest goals for this year? What are my biggest goals for 5 year? And what's my long-term 20-year goals? Write those down, write down 5, 10, and as you think, more ideas will come out. Then take those goals and carry them out through pictures. Go on Google and search out attractive pictures that really paint the picture, right? Because your mind, I'm gonna give you one more quick, crazy nugget. The reason you don't just write them on paper, because your mind doesn't see words, it sees pictures. So right now, if I say purple elephant, what do you see in your mind?
Purple elephant.
You just saw a purple elephant. If I say kitchen sink, you imagine your kitchen sink. Your mind can only see with images. So that's why we're taking our images from words to pictures, because that's the most effective in our mind. I know that's a huge bomb, because I realized that myself. That's a massive bomb.
Where did you learn that?
I think I heard it on a podcast. I don't remember which one. It might have been an audio or podcast, but it blew my. I was like, "Whoa, this is so true."
Oh man, you see my apartment right now. I have 50 sticky notes. I need to replace those with visions, right?
I do both personally. So I actually have a whole collection of sticky notes and I do the vision wall.
Nice.
So don't ditch your sticky notes. It's a great thing to do, but you can enhance those dreams even further by giving it a visual image when you think of that. Say it, think it, see it.
Yeah. What's one of the coolest, just like stories with your vision wall?
Okay, coolest stories. So I'll say about who I met. So I want to be a guru. I want to be the speaker, keynote speaker, and I want to be one of the best in the world.
Yeah.
So I put all the guys I want to meet on my vision wall. Brendan Bouchard, Grant Cardone, Andy Frisella, Dean Graziosi, Tony Robbins, et cetera, et cetera. Within 2 weeks of putting those on there, I met 2 of those guys. Granted, I'm 25 years old, never met them before, but I met 2 of those guys within 2 weeks. So it's because they were on the forefront of my mind. So I have a good Grant Cardone story. So Grant Cardone, he's the 10X guy. He does the 10X, they're not called tours, GrowthCon, 10X GrowthCon. Everyone hears about that, right? Grant Cardone, the real estate guy. So he has a private jet, which is dope. He's done well for himself. And NASCAR is big here in Charlotte. You know, the NASCAR building's across the street from your apartment where we are right now. And I saw that he came to Charlotte on a Sunday and put on his Instagram stories, I'm at NASCAR. So my boss, who I referenced in the last podcast, Jeffrey Gittimer, who's the king of sales, 15-time best-selling author. They're both sales trainers. We always I personally want to connect major influencers together because they can value each other.
Yeah.
So I saw that Grant Cardone took his jet. He was in Charlotte. I'm like, I got to connect him to Jeffrey. It's a Sunday. So kind of adding up to that massive action plan, I left my house. I filled up my backpack with my laptop and my notebooks, and I started walking to Uptown Charlotte. So that's like a 15-minute walk from where I am.
Yeah.
I went to Uptown Charlotte. I turned around to face the city with my back to the city. So I was going to send Grant an Instagram story so he could clearly see I was, 15 minutes away, right in Charlotte where he is. And I made just a picture and I wrote, "Hey Grant, let's chop it up in the studio," because my boss has a podcast. I basically invited him to come to the podcast a week after I put him on my wall. So I do that, I put that message, and then I go to work on a Sunday. So I have a key to the office, I go to work, I sit down at my desk, and I say, I'm staying here all day if I need to, because I know it's not guaranteed, but there's a chance that Grant Cardone comes to our office.
Yeah.
So I sat there, I was messing around doing my to-do list, and every hour I would check to see if Grant looked at my IG story, and he didn't. So I would delete it, repost it, delete it, repost it, delete it, repost it. Every hour I did that 7 times. Eventually, a few hours later, Jeffrey sends me a text. He says, "Hey, Grant's going to be here." 2 seconds later, he walks in the office.
Oh my God.
Grant Cardone was only in our office for 30 minutes. If I would have been at home and came when Jeffrey texted me, I would have missed him. But because I was there on a Sunday and I manifested this opportunity and plugged the two together, and mind you, it's also important to say in the story that Jeffrey did text Grant because he had his number to also tell him to come. So I can't just say it's only my story. But I like to think that if it wasn't for that, he never would have come. So because of that, he came in and I got to ask him a few questions, and Jeffrey and him got to chat, but I got to meet Grant Cardone through a massive action plan because I put him on my vision wall. That's how fast it came to fruition. And that's just one of many, bro.
Yeah, so then figure out what you want on like the 1, 5, 10, 20-year span. Would you suggest starting massive and trickling down, or starting at like 1 year and then going up?
Depends what kind of person you are. My whole life is about thinking big to the extremes. So I would say maybe if you think your goals could be too big and overwhelming and you don't see results right away and that could be discouraging, do a mixed bag. Do some short-term goals that you think achievable. Then do some goals that are mid-tier that are kind of like a little bit far-fetched but possible, and then do the impossible.
Yeah, and you have it broken into sections, right?
Sections, not by how possible it is, but just what it represents. So all the influencers I want to meet, the car I want, all the vacation places, it's segmented. Okay. So it's kind of cool.
That's probably the best way to do it, or is it whatever works best for the user?
There's no set science. Simply my biggest suggestion is don't get a vision board, get a vision wall. So you can expand your dream and really make it sink in.
Nice. I remember you told me that right after I bought a bulletin board. You're like,
I was like, dude, get rid of this thing. Is your dream really 4x6, bro? Like, you got to dream bigger than that.
I was like, man, I lost the receipt. So
look at this. You could have the biggest vision wall ever. Like, I wish I had this giant wall that you have, and people would think you're crazy when you come over. But from your door all the way to here, this could be filled top to bottom.
It's like 100.
We're looking at like a 14-foot wall that's 10 feet high. 14 by 10. Now that's a vision wall, a massive action plan.
That's a lot of ink you got to print out, though.
That's
right?
true.
Yeah. So What would you have to say on, like, I know you touched on this too. You actually gave me some crazy stories the other day.
Yeah.
Of just like your concept of words really affecting how you physically feel.
Yeah. So I had like this realization.
Yeah.
So you want me to break it down for you?
Yeah.
Okay. So I had this realization from a few different examples, and I'll give you some, but this is what it is. It's that your mind, by the things that you bring into it, right? The things you hear, the things you see, the things you smell, the things you touch, all your physical senses attached to your mind and all these things in general can actually affect your body physically. So basically what I'm saying, to dumb it down, is something that I see could affect me physically. Like if I see a giant car crash and I'm like, oh my God, I feel so bad for that person, and I get sick to my stomach because I think about how it could be someone in my family. Well, something I just see physically affected my body. Or like if you found out you totally failed a test and your mom's gonna kill you, well then you might physically get sick. That's just one form of it. But I realized like how powerful that was. So one story that I think is very, very impactful, actually I have two, I'll share the first, is I heard this story. So there was this guy, and he was a repairman for train cars, okay? And there was a train car. It was like a freezer train car. It was used to transport food. And he was a repairman. He went in to go work on it, and he basically got locked in the car. And what he realized is like he was banging on the door for a while, and none of his friends heard him. They all left. He was all by himself. So he was in this car, and his mind started racing. An hour. He's kind of worried. Like, okay, I'm still here. I'm locked in here. It's getting pretty cold. Mm-hmm. And after 2 hours, he was thinking about how he's getting so cold that he's going to freeze to death. So what he did is he wrote out a note to his family. I think he had a knife, pocket knife, and he carved it out, a note to his family that basically said, I'm getting colder by the minute. I'm so sorry. Like, I love you guys. I'm freezing to death in this boxcar. So you feel for him, right? He's locked in this car. And basically what happened is the next day, some other workers came and they opened up the car, and they found that this guy died from hypothermia. He actually froze to death. Yeah. But that's not the kicker. The kicker is that they went in the car, they checked the temperature of the room. It was a broken refrigerated boxcar, meaning it wasn't even below freezing. It was it was like 43 degrees. So this guy, literally with his mind, he said, I feel myself getting colder, I feel my body going numb. There was a little bit more to it, like he had a couple different updates on how he was feeling, but he continued to feel himself getting cold, and he was able to physically show the signs through his body of someone who was frozen to death when it was in the 40s in the boxcar. He killed himself with his mind. And so that's the bomb, right? Is that like the things that we're saying are so impactful to what our body's carrying out. Right now, I talked about earlier in the first episode how I'm in the midst of a crisis, right? Yeah. I've been out of work for 80 days. If I got negative on myself, if I said out loud or thought, I'm never gonna get better. I'm gonna have this for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
That's gonna negatively affect me, and that could be true.
Wow.
What you say and what you think will try to carry out physically through your body. So that's why I tell myself the complete opposite. I do affirmations every day. I'm healed, I'm strong, I'm healthy, I'm well. I hear it, I say it, I think it, because what you think physically comes out through your body.
Yeah, wow. That's a crazy story.
Blew my mind too.
What's a way just to speak truth into your life, just to keep your words strong so you can obviously stay in a strong physical state, right? So what's a way you can just keep telling yourself out of affirmations, or is it
Yeah, so what you're saying is are you trying to say how you could become positive, or are you trying to say how, break it down a little bit more for me. I just want to make sure I understand it all the way.
So just to have a strong state of let's say you are dealing with something like an adversity like you are, or let's say somebody is going through an illness, or let's say somebody is just trying to lose weight, is the best strategy just to be write down I'm fit, I'm healthy, and just keep repeating that? Or
Gotcha. So there's a million different ways this could go. I think the big thing is if you are in a hard time and you're thinking about all the negative thoughts, you're losing, right?
Yep.
So the first thing would be empty out those negative thoughts. Maybe you get in a quiet space, you just try to relax your mind, relax your body, and just let those, just say to yourself, it sounds kind of corny, depends if you're into personal development. Some people meditate and they say like, okay, I'm just kind of releasing that negativity out of me. You get rid of the negative. The biggest thing about all this is replacing negative with positive. So if you have negative thoughts, get rid of them and replace them with positive thoughts.
Nice.
The best thing I do to keep like a positive mindset or stay on track is I fill my mind every single day with like an infinite amount of positivity. So a really good book recommendation for someone who is going through something, and I will give you a warning on that, is it does kind of tie into religion a little bit, but it's called The Power of Positive Thinking. I just finished it, and it's perfect timing for what I'm going through. It's easily one of the top 5 books I've ever read. It gives you actual things that you can do, exercises that you can do to make yourself feel better. So doing that, listening to podcasts of people speaking, telling stories about people who have healed themselves or people who have gotten better or how those tough times always turn out. That's another thing. So listening to positive podcasts. I listen to Joel Osteen. I listen to a few other guys who speak about positivity. So that's a way. And then obviously once you have those things, continue to think positively. And I had one other thing, but I forgot it, I think, right now. So.
That's so true. This past 2 months, I've been writing down, I have 7 positive affirmations based on different equities. But my first one is I consistently live with a positive and opportunistic mindset every single day. I read that, once in the morning, once at night.
Yeah.
And it about 2 or 3 days after I've been reading that, I've at work, with the podcast, with another project I'm doing, I've always been seeking just different opportunities with it. Like at work, when I'm trying to meet with new clients, I do some cold calling, and I've been looking at it as okay, every call I do is a new opportunity to find somebody that I could close a very massive deal with versus this guy's not going to pick up.
Right.
So I think that's changed my state a little bit too.
Yeah, and you can go on for positive attitude all day, but what you're saying is because you wrote it down on that note, and you see it every day, a few times a day, when you are in the trenches doing the actions that make you more successful at your job, you think back to that.
Yeah.
You reflect on that. So that's same thing I'm going through, right? I'm going through a hard time. I have migraines 3 days in a row. I'm so discouraged. No, I can think back to that story or that book I read or reference that book. So exact same thing.
I love it. I love it. Man, well, I definitely wanted this just to be a little short, quicker episode on 2, value bombs. But, in 30 seconds, what's some final advice you want everyone to know?
Final advice, stay positive, man. A positive attitude is one of the biggest success habits in the world. People who think positive compared to pessimistically achieve 10 times more. If you think what could go wrong, it'll happen. If you think about what could go right, it will happen. Have and grow and maintain a positive attitude. It will take you so much farther.
I love it. I love it. Man, thanks for hopping on this again. I know it was a quick other episode.
I know we just ran it back and we did it 10 minutes later, but dude, as always, it's a pleasure, it's an honor, it's my privilege to share out stuff like this, and I hope it can really help people. And once again, if anyone has any questions about any of this stuff, hey, how can I get started? I want to be a resource, man. Not just your listeners, to everyone. I want to be a resource and see how I can help. So feel free to shoot me a DM. Chris will put my information there.
Yeah, it's Krupp Sanity, right? It's the Instagram.
Yeah, Krupp Sanity. Instagram is the #1 place to reach me. If you want to find out my other social medias and follow me there, just go to ZackKrupp.com, ZackKrupp.com. I have loads of personal development content and good stuff on there.
Awesome, man. Thanks again.
Absolutely, bro.
I had a great time sitting down with Zack today, speaking a lot about personal development, vision walls, and the concept that your words really do speak truth into your life and your mindset. And really with Zack, he really brought me through the importance of a vision wall. I know for me, that's on my top of the list to create a vision wall soon. I have a lot of sticky notes written around everywhere, and I have positive affirmations that I read every day. But I think a vision wall will really help propel my success, and I encourage you guys out there to do the same. I know if you have any questions, you can reach out to Zack. He gave you his contact information via Instagram. And something else that I really got from this too is visualization. If you keep looking at something and it becomes ingrained in your mind, then it's going to be in your subconscious mind. You're going to constantly have that on your thoughts. So I know for me, whatever goals you have in mind, I'm just going to make sure I can put that on my vision wall so I can constantly see it. And really just wanted to thank you guys again for tuning in to another episode of Next Level Minds. As we like to say here at Next Level Minds, your mindset is your greatest weapon for the battle of success. And I'm really excited that you guys got some value from this. Please share this episode. Follow me on Instagram, Chris Chap, and reach out to me with any feedback, questions, or concerns. And I would love just to continue helping everyone out there grow.